Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in Midtown Atlanta, where you are welcome. Such is the nature of life that all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity, and so am I. So it is. Whoever you are, whatever brought you here today, know that you are welcome. We know who you are. You are an individualized expression of this spiritual, divine life in which we all live. You are life's unique opportunity to appear and express. Whatever your background is, whoever you are, however you call yourself, we're glad you're here. And you're welcome to participate at whatever level suits you. All right, here's our vision statement. We are an open, globally connected community centered on the clarity of principle through teaching, service, and practice. We create a safe and respectful environment that supports healthy spiritual growth. And for a better understanding of who we are and what we teach, listen to our Declaration of Principles as written by our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes.
A few of the Declaration of Principles we live by.
I believe in one God, one absolute power, and first cause to all things.
I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love.
I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life, and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding.
I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all.
And so it is.
So grateful, hey.
So a practitioner is someone who's demonstrated the ability to use spiritual practice and spiritual laws to bring about great changes in their lives. And they've demonstrated they know how to do this to bring about these changes in others when asked. Licensed by Centers for Spiritual Living, they're available to you to provide spiritual guidance and support in those areas where you're looking for assistance. And you can contact them through our website, cslmidtown.org. We've got a great guest practitioner this morning, Reverend Dr. Cynthia Paulson, to lead you in share some good ideas and an affirmative prayer called the Spiritual Mind Treatment. Welcome, Reverend Cynthia.
Hello, what a treat to be here as a practitioner today. I get to give you just a little something, a little mini talk before the real talk and do a spiritual mind treatment with you. So we're talking about wholeness. Wholeness is the theme for the month, the idea that we are whole no matter what, that we are one global family united in the one divine presence. We are one. Yeah. Really? Really? So let me just ask you this. If you saw a news story about someone in your community who murdered an innocent person, I mean, wouldn't you be like, I'm not one with that. I am not one with that, right? I'm not one with a murderer. Or if you learned about somebody who was abusing children, certainly we would all say, no, I am not one with that. Or, if you see leaders of a political party that you disagree with, and they're enforcing policies that are hurting people and, hurting families, you're probably going to say, no, I am not one with that. So you can see how we run into some problems with our spiritual philosophy here. Do we really believe in our wholeness as one humanity? We either believe it or we don't, right? This is our challenge, I think, as human beings. This is like the down and dirty work of our spiritual journey to living in a higher consciousness. So I want to share with you something that I use to help me understand and remember our wholeness as one humanity. I use this visual that I try to keep in my mind. Now, not that I have it all figured out by any means, but this helps me, so maybe it will help you. I want you to imagine a straight line, and I have this piece of twine from my kitchen junk drawer, And we're going to imagine that this is a straight line. And on this line, it is so long that all of humanity is standing on this line. Everybody, alive people, dead people, historical people, they're all on this line. It's a long line, right? Now, at one end of the line, the very first person standing on the line is Adolf Hitler. I think we all know who Adolf Hitler is and what he did. While exact figures are impossible to determine, it is estimated that Hitler and his regime were responsible for killing approximately 17 million people. I always thought, oh, it was 6 million Jewish people, but there were other targeted groups as well. So 17 million people is the estimate. So he's standing on this end right here. At the other end of this long line, I want you to imagine Mother Teresa. I think we all know who she is, a Catholic nun who created a charity that still exists. It still exists today, and it has helped millions of people globally. The disabled, the poor, the elderly, the sick, and all the rest of us are standing somewhere on this line, okay? We have a range of personality and behavior and intention and purpose. It's quite a spectrum, right? And when you really examine the likes of Adolf Hitler and Mother Teresa, you think, how could they possibly be of the same humanity, right? Now, it appears to me that one of them believed in and understood and lived from a place of divine wholeness. Mother Teresa saw God in the poorest of the poor and the sickest of the sick. Adolf Hitler believed in and operated from a place of separation. He really focused on labeling the other and hurting, destroying the other, developing systems to destroy the other. Now, the lesson here is not that we're going to call this one good and this one evil. That would be humanity expressing as duality, and we know there is no duality. The lesson is that the potential of wholeness was present in both of them. It had to be. It's the only way that this teaching philosophy makes sense, right? One of them had a very high unity consciousness that understood and expressed wholeness, and one of them had a very low ego-based consciousness rooted in separation, and that kind of consciousness really squashed its potential for wholeness. So what I like to imagine, what really helps with this concept, is that our line is actually a loop. It's a circle. A circle is a representation of divinity, divine unity, and wholeness. And so when we take our line and we make it a circle, that means Hitler standing right next to Mother Teresa. Wouldn't that be a sight to see? We have the choice of what kind of consciousness we want to have and strive for and work toward in our day-to-day human lives with our mindfulness, our awareness, our attention, and our faith. We are not one with the worst behaviors that we can imagine. We're not. We are one with the highest divine aspect potential that we can possibly imagine and know to be true. So let's make this choice together with a spiritual mind treatment and affirmative prayer for recognizing humanity's wholeness. If you would join me and settle into your seat, maybe roll your shoulders back, close your eyes if you would like. Let's take a nice cleansing breath in and release that slowly. Let's move into our heart space where we know the truth together, that there is only one power, one presence, one life, expressing itself as all creation. There is no place where this presence is not. It is whole, complete, perfect, and undivided. This one has never been broken by fear or hatred or violence, judgment, or separation. It remains the one, expressing in and through and as every life, every soul, every being. And because this is true of life itself, it is true of me. And it is also true for you. I recognize this truth for every person hearing my voice, whether it is right now in this present moment or if it is at a later time. I commit in this moment to being gentle with myself when I forget this truth, when I forget my divine nature, when I forget my neighbor's divine nature, when I find myself sitting in judgment of another, I give myself grace, knowing that I am still learning to see through the eyes of spirit. Every moment is another opportunity to remember, another opportunity to awaken, another opportunity to choose love over hate, compassion over fear, unity over division, wholeness over separation. I am on the sacred journey of recognizing wholeness, and each step draws me deeply into this realization. So I speak this word today for myself, for this community, and for all humanity. I know that we are awakening to the truth of our shared being. I know that every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness, every choice to see beyond appearances strengthens the consciousness of wholeness in this world. Right here and now, I am circling back to the truth, and you are doing it with me. Together, we are remembering what has always been true, that there is only one. We are all that one life. We are all that one love. We are all the one presence. I give great thanks for this eternal truth that is unfolding in and through and as each one of us. And I release these words into the action of spiritual law, knowing that they are already fulfilled. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
All right. So it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker this morning. Reverend Deb Hammond has been a licensed practitioner with Centers for Spiritual Living since 2009, an ordained interfaith minister through One Spirit Interfaith Seminary since 2018. She's passionate about helping people recognize their inherent wholeness, trust their inner wisdom, and live from a place of love, purpose, and possibility. Known for her warmth, compassion, and gentle humor, Reverend Deb creates space for healing, connection, and transformation. She also serves as a staff associate at a funeral home, supporting individuals and families through life's sacred transitions with grace and care. Reverend Deb joyfully serves the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living under the leadership of Reverend Dr. Sunny Michelle Coleman. Welcome, Reverend Deb.
Thank you all for allowing me to be here with you all today. It is such an honor. And, it's like this morning, it just reminds me of just how to be in that space of trusting and knowing that there's a community of people that are available to support you no matter what we're going through. And that was the experience this morning when I came online and the microphone wasn't working, the camera wasn't working, modern technology. And your beloved team, they just were patient in this process of allowing this experience to unfold perfectly and to allow me to be here with you all right now. So, and in the midst of all of that, it's always a reminder to know that there is nothing broken in this process, that this is an opportunity of wholeness, remembering our wholeness of who we are. And so that's this month for Centers for Spiritual Living. We have this topic that's called Whole No Matter What, WHOLE, no matter what. And today's topic is our shared wholeness. And in this space, what Spirit kept dropping into my awareness is that this place of wholeness, so many times when people say we come from broken families, or it's like there's some part of a person that's broken. And what Spirit and our teachings remind us is that we're not broken, that we are truly whole, perfect, and complete, exactly as we are. Now, yes, we may have gone through some challenges, some experiences that we may not have thought that we needed to go through. But what I realized for myself is that when I've gone through some of these traumatic experiences, these challenges, that on the other side of this, there was something amazing that happened, because it allowed me to be in this space to open up. It allowed me to be in this space to go deeper into Spirit within me and to trust that there is something else greater that's coming out on the other side of this experience. And so I think about our spiritual communities. And one of the questions that was posed in our preparation for this talk is, what would it really mean? What would it mean to really believe that we are all one global family and that we are each unique and divine? And that question, it reaches beyond philosophy. It asks us how we live, how we love, how we welcome one another, how we treat ourselves. It asks whether we truly believe that no one is outside of the love of Spirit. That in the mind and heart of Spirit within us, it knows us, it created us. So it created us as whole beings. And as we go through various experiences and opportunities, it helps us to grow and grow if we choose to. Sometimes people can stay miserable, for as long as they choose to. And then it becomes a choice. Is this working for me? But then those are the times when we have communities like yours, like these Centers for Spiritual Living communities all around the world right now. Because people are wanting to know how to connect or reconnect back to that center space, that place of wholeness. And then I want to ask this question, it's like, can we believe that we are truly whole? I know that you all are in the process of calling forth your perfect minister, your senior minister. And in this process of calling forth this minister, that there's a process that you all are going through as well. In this process, you're waiting. So in this waiting period for the right and perfect minister to show up, can you believe that you are whole in this process, that your community is whole? Because waiting has a way of convincing us that something is missing. Is anxious, like, oh, I'm waiting, I'm just waiting, I'm waiting. It's like, oh my gosh, hurry up. And when we start thinking about, I'm waiting, then there becomes some anxiety that comes along with that. And then this is where we actually put on, as my beloved says, the P word, patience. This is where we put on our patience gear. And we tell ourselves that, we'll ask ourselves these questions, like, or say, I'll be happy when this new minister shows up. I'll be happy when whatever it is, this new job shows up. I'll feel complete when fill in the blanks. I'll have peace when. And as a spiritual community, perhaps some are quietly thinking, we'll really begin our next chapter when our new minister arrives. And the thing about it is that in this moment, as you're setting the stage for this new minister, what if all of that wasn't true? What if when that you'll really begin when your next chapter, when your new minister arrives. What if that's not true? Because when we come from this place that your community is already whole, the next minister isn't coming to make you whole, because a whole community is calling forth the next expression, showing up as the senior minister. And so in this place, when you come from that mindset, everything changes. Even if you think it's like, oh my gosh, my finances will increase. It's like when I get this new amazing job that's over here, that's going to pay me an astronomical amount of money. But when we come from this place of knowing that we're whole, that who we are, we're bringing something into that community, into that new position. Because sometimes we may step into a new job thinking that we're going to make all of this money and it's going to make us happy, when there's something within us that feels like it's broken, feels like that there is something that is just not right, but we're not speaking it out loud. We're not talking about it, but there's an energetic that's behind that place of I'm not enough, I'm not good enough. Because we speak out, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get this new job. But inside, there's something that says, I'm not good enough for this new job. That, well, what if they don't like me here? What if? Well, what if you walked into this place and knew that this was the perfect place for you, that you bring something different to the table that they may not have experienced? They've been waiting for you to show up. But if you're coming from this place of brokenness, that you're not whole to step into this position, there's something that happens energetically. Because sometimes you get in and you recognize you can't get along with an employee. You can't get along with the boss. Or what I've seen with some companies is they've started and then all of a sudden a person starts with that company and then they're laid off right away. And that's the thing, when we start putting our attention on that on the outside, rather than that's within us on the inside, connecting with that spirit within us, trusting, being patient that the right and perfect opportunity shows up, miracles happen. And we call them miracles, but there's a knowingness. We know. And as Ernest Holmes reminds us as well, life is already complete within itself. We were not born broken. We were born whole. Even if we have people that come out that may have missing limbs or maybe blind or have some type of what we call defects, they are still whole. Because that within us, that spirit, that energetic within us, it knows who we are. And it's like, and as we continue to connect with that, no matter what it is that we're choosing to do in the world, we can move through it. When I see some of these athletes, when they have the Paralympics athletes, Olympics, and you see so many of these Olympians these athletes that are out there in wheelchairs or either missing legs, and they're out there with prosthetics and they're running, they're getting medals left and right. Because they know that even though their legs may be missing, they're still whole. They're still complete. And that there is a divine within them that is working and doing its perfect thing in their life and affairs right now. So we have to remind ourselves that the journey is not about becoming whole. The journey is remembering that you already are. So let me say that again, that the journey is not about becoming whole. The journey is remembering that you already are. In one of the readings that we had for this week, it talks about the reading from Thich Nhat Hanh. And he offers such a beautiful image. He writes that community is like a forest. Each member is a tree, and no two trees are alike. Some are tall, some are young, some bend, some stand straight up, some blossom quietly. and some provide quiet shade. But together, oh my gosh, they become a forest. A single tree can be vulnerable. A forest creates its own climate. It protects and nourishes itself. It becomes stronger because it belongs together. And isn't that what spiritual community is about? It's when we come together, because there are so many people we think, oh my gosh, I can do this on my own, I can do this on my own. And not to say that we don't have our own independence, but when you're coming and a part of a spiritual community, when everyone comes together to support one another, that's that forest. And that spiritual community is a place where we remember who we were, who we are when we've forgotten. That's why we have practitioners and ministers that are there to hold you in prayer, to know the truth of who you are. This is what Ernest Holmes talks about, our founder talks about in this place, that you are already whole, perfect, and complete, exactly as you are. Our spiritual communities are a place where everyone belongs. Not because we're the same, because that's not true. We all come from different backgrounds and have different experiences, but because we are equally expressions of God. In this process of when we feel ourselves as broken or that there's something wrong with me, it's like, how come no one loves me, or whatever it is that we may have in our minds. That's when we take a step back and ask ourselves, is that true? Is it true that no one loves you? Is it true that you're not good enough? Because just because something's not working out the way that you think that it could or should, please know that everything is working out in perfect and divine order and timing. And in the space, this is where that patience comes into play. When I hear people say patience, it's like, oh, gee, that word again. It's like the P word again. And it's an amazing spiritual quality to have. We often think patience means waiting around, doing nothing. It's like, that we're enduring. But spiritual patience is something entirely different. Patience is trusting divine timing while continuing to show up. So many times, it's like when I've moved, when I left I grew up in Washington, D.C., and when I left D.C. and I was flying, actually going to Hawaii, and I was on a plane, and there was this voice, it seemed like, I had to stop at LAX to change planes. And Spirit says, you're going to stay here in California. And I'm thinking, it's like, no, it's like, I don't know a soul here. But then there was this thing that was within me that was saying, trust me. And so I ended up getting off the plane. There were some people on the plane that I connected with and, I was going to meet up with because they were going to Hawaii also. And I never made it to Hawaii, but I stayed in California. And my stay in California was such an amazing experience and still is because I came back. But in that journey, I've created friendships and families and people that I've known for over 30 years since being in California. And in that process of being in California, I had to trust when Spirit says it's time to leave. I left to go to Georgia. And I'm like, okay, Spirit, what are we doing here? But I'm trusting. So in the midst of everything, I'm trusting the process of what's unfolding. And Georgia was an amazing experience for me as well. It slowed me down and it allowed me to take time to connect with Spirit. Because I remember sitting on my patio one time and I was asking Spirit, it's like I was out in the area, I was like all by myself. And I said, Spirit, why am I here by myself? And what came to me was that in order for me to go deeper and really reconnect with my spiritual center, because in the beginning here, I had too many distractions here in California. Too many things were going on at one time. And it was taking my people, places, situations, was taking my focus away. So I had to be removed from this situation and step into this place of quietness. So in this place of being in Georgia is when I went to ministerial school. And the thing was like, nah, it's not happening. But that was where Spirit was guiding me. And in that process, it has allowed me to come back to California in a different light and a different way. And that's where the patience, because I was upset with myself a couple of times, like, this is not working. We need something different. But then I had to remember, there's something greater on the other side. And that's the thing that I offer you as well. Look at whatever it is that you may be going through. Even as we're in this economic environment of where we are right now in our world situation, how many times can we say to ourselves, it's like, I know there's something greater coming out on the other side of what we're experiencing right now. You know, there are times that we focus so much on what we're waiting for that we miss who we are becoming. So in these processes of we're wanting things to change, what's changing within us? What's continuing to grow us? How are we praying? Because I remember ministers said once before, like when we watch the news, say a prayer. Because we always talk about prayer is powerful. Say a prayer. Speak a prayer to the news and to the world, because it's all energy that's going out into the world. And as we say in our prayers, it's like our word cannot return to us void. It must go out and do that we've sent it out to do. These current experiences, how are they shaping us? How is it shaping our communities, our spiritual communities? Even as you all are calling forth your new minister, how is that unfolding? What I know is that when the time is right, these paths of what we're putting out into the universe, what it is that we're being called to do, that it's all going to come together, that your new minister is going to show up just like that. And it doesn't happen by accident. It's by divine appointment. There is a divine timing that happens. Sometimes it happens instantaneously. Sometimes there's a process that happens, because maybe your minister that's coming to you is contemplating. It's like, do I want to do this? Do I want to take on a community? Am I the right fit for this? Do I want to move to Georgia, or whatever it is? They're going through their own process. And as they come into alignment with your spiritual community, because you all are holding this energetic, this amazing energy that's calling forth, you all are preparing yourselves to receive this new minister. So what are you doing to receive this incoming new minister? Because what I know is that ministers, they don't create the healthy communities. Healthy communities, they welcome the inspired ministers to come in. So knowing that your community is already healthy, ready to receive that perfect and divine minister that's coming forth, oh, I know great things are unfolding for you all. You know, there's an affirmation that we have for this week, and it's, I recognize and honor that I am a part of one global family. And if that is true, that means everyone belongs. So when we're looking at the news, when we're watching what's happening, if we're creating a global community, everyone belongs, because everyone was created of spirit. Not just those that agree with us, not just those who look like us, not just those who worship like us. Every person is an individualized expression of the one life. And when we deny another person's dignity, we deny something about ourselves. When we can honor another's divinity, then we can strengthen our own. Wholeness grows through inclusion. Love expands through belonging. So I want to leave you with a few practices for living wholeness. First is remember your own wholeness. When you begin every day, reminding yourself that nothing essential is missing. Second, honor someone else's wholeness. See beyond the appearances. Look for the divine within that person. Third, participate. A forest exists because every tree shows up. And sometimes it's a matter of going to go volunteer somewhere that you may not have thought about volunteering. Going to show up and support your neighbor who may be going through something hard. Community becomes strong because people contribute. Fourth, practice patience. Trust that divine timing is never late, it's always on time. And finally, celebrate today, this moment, celebrate that. Don't put off your joy until tomorrow. Even when we're in pain, sometimes we still get to celebrate today that I'm still alive, I'm still breathing, there's still something more for me to do. Life is happening now. God is expressing now. Love is available now. And I think about this as I work my paid services in a funeral home. And in that space, it allows me to see and hold so many hearts so tenderly because they come in pain. And it's like, and there are times it's like, people, I just look at them, I may just stand next to them because I can sense their energy and I know that there's hurt, there's tears that's there, and they just want someone to be there with them. And that's what we get to do. How do we stand next to someone that's hurting? How do we allow others to stand with us when we're hurting? Life is happening now. God is expressing now. In everything that we see, God is expressing. And love is available now. So perhaps today the invitation is simply this. Be whole while you wait. Be joyful while you wait. Be generous while you wait. Be loving while you wait. Because waiting is not empty. Waiting can be scared. It can be a little scary. But what I know is that your community, this world, this planet right now, that we're already enough. You are already enough. And together, as unique expressions of one infinite life, we continue to become a beautiful forest, rooted in love, growing in faith, and trusting that every season reveals another expression of God's wholeness. So as I return back to this affirmation, I recognize and honor that I am a part of one global family. We just may be a small little part of this global family. May we live in truth, love from that truth, be that truth. And so it is.
Thank you so much for that talk and that reminder of what we're looking for, that we are whole. So we will see you over on Zoom in just a few minutes, and thank you so much for your talk. That was really powerful and a good reminder of who we are and what we are and being here right now. So, as she said, we are looking for a new minister. So it's time for our new minister sacred covenant easy prayer, which is online on cslmidtown.org. This is the abbreviated version. The full version is there. So know this with me. There is only one life. This life is God, and I am one with it. I know my new minister is a revelation of Spirit as principle, fulfilling God's promise. For principle is not bound by precedent, but operates according to law for those who align with it. Together with my community, I see my new minister as inspiring spiritual oneness through wisdom, love, and authenticity. One that is awakened to inner wisdom, communicates universal truth, and serves as a conduit of divine love, wisdom, and healing energy. One that recognizes the inherent wholeness within all beings and offers teachings grounded in spiritual principles to cultivate inner transformation. One that extends love, compassion, and Spirit's transformative power into the wider community, fostering connections that heal and uplift individuals on their unique journeys. As I accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know they will be revealed in a way that expresses Spirit and serves the highest good of all touched by their presence. I am grateful, for God is good, and so it is. And now it's time for our conscious giving. And you can donate at cslmidtown.org/donate. There's a QR code in the affirmation that you can get to as well. And we appreciate every single one of you who donates regularly and those of you who occasionally donate. If you're being fed by this spiritual teaching that we are sharing with you every single week, and you're not contributing already, please consider contributing. It's what we're doing to grow this community, to sustain this community, to bring these messages to you every single week. So we thank you for that, and here is our affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. I've got a couple of announcements. I want to thank Reverend Cynthia for being our practitioner today. And next week, we've got Reverend Kit Holmes bringing herself and her music to us. Her talk is the Wholeness Enchilada. That should be a very interesting talk. The adult study group meets at 10 a.m. on Sunday, so if you want to dive a little bit deeper into this, join them on Zoom. They're studying the book, This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. And so that's a great way to dig a little bit deeper. They're on Zoom, so you can go to cslmidtown.org, scroll down to the Zoom channel, click on that link, use the passcode to get into the meeting, and you'll be there. The same thing right now to join us for a discussion with Reverend Deb. So if you're online and you're not already in the Zoom room, join us there. And I want to say thank you, and let's do our affirmation of life as we leave this week. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the Spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you over on Zoom.